Well, we all went back to our motel rooms after the visit at the Green Tambourine. Early next morning, we got up and had breakfast. There was a big football game scheduled for today, and FSU was a big football university. How lucky we were to be able to see a big college football game. We paid our money and went to the big game. I forgot who Florida was playing, but it was a big deal. It was exciting to watch the game. The enthusiasm of the fans on both sides was amazing. Lots of yays and ughs. I forgot who won, but we found out that there was a big dance that night on campus. So accordingly, we went to the dance. I like to dance, so it was a lot of fun for me. I think it was a lot of fun for all us soldiers. We were picked out as soldiers because of our issued shoes and short haircuts. We danced with the girls, and the girls liked us. But we did get a few derogatory comments from some of the college guys. But we quickly backed each other up and somewhat became aggressive, one-on-one with some of the guys. They quickly backed off as we seemed to relish the idea of doing some fighting. Actually, they would have gotten hurt as we were in great shape and all knew how to fight. But at the same time, it would not be good to be thrown off of campus just when we discovered how fun it was on campus. The girls liked us, and we liked the girls. I think all of us met girls who would see us the next day and would show us around the university grounds. I met a girl named Sandy and one named Kay. They were both nice to me. They said they appreciated us as soldiers and were not like most of the wimps at the university. Somebody had to fight for freedom, they insisted. Well, whether we were fighting for freedom or not, it was great to hear that some girls respected us. We all had a great time with our newfound girlfriends that Sunday and made dates for the next weekend. How fantastic was that? How good we all felt. Joy. We all got back okay for Monday morning formation and found out that one of our favorite guys from the rural backwoods were with some guys who got him very drunk at one of the Dothan carnivals. Actually, he passed out and some jerks had a tattoo artist at the carnival tattoo an eyeball right in the middle of his forehead. A big one. We found out who the culprits were in our own company and beat them up rather badly. I didn't beat them but agreed on their punishment as we all did. The army and lower ranks could be very democratic. The carnival folded up and went on the road. Otherwise, the tattoo artist would have gotten hurt. The fellow, who was the nicest guy in the company who had the eyeball tattoo, went to the army hospital under army orders to try and have the tattoo removed. That's the last we saw of him. Hopefully the tattoo in some way saved his life. We don't know where he went from the hospital. Maybe he could get a medical discharge, we hoped.
The mechanics training went on. No one had phones, so just the thought that college girls were friendly and interested in us gave us that went to Tallahassee a very good feeling, and we certainly planned on going back there next weekend. The other guys in the company were now eager to go to Tallahassee but would have to make transportation arrangements. The week went by pleasantly. The guys from the north certainly liked the pleasant weather in the south. How nice it was not to be frozen in November and December. The red dirt was another nice experience, something different. I think that red earth goes well as a color scheme with the green plants. It wasn't long before we piled into the car after Friday afternoon's formation and zoomed down to Tallahassee. We still did the double up with the motel rooms down there. The girl I met during the last weekend, Sandy, was living in a sorority house on campus. It was a very old southern mansion, huge with the white pillars in the front. We were getting to be a pair, telling each other all about our lives and wishes for the future. We always had a wonderful time together. She was from Fort Walton Beach, Florida, and she liked the Gulf Coast as much as I did. She was born and raised on the Gulf Coast. As the army training went on, we realized that most all of us were going to Vietnam at the end of our training. That made our trips on the weekends even more pleasant. We may never have a better time in our young lives, and possibly in our short young lives, as we were told that helicopter pilots and helicopter mechanics were being killed and wounded in high numbers. We asked why the mechanics were being killed in high numbers, and we were told that Huey helicopters always had a mechanic called a crew chief on board as a flying machine gunner in Vietnam, and that the Huey helicopter was the choice as the combat assault helicopter, and that they were flying about 18 hours a day on average, as there were never enough of them, and on average many of us would be killed. We discussed with our instructor that whether we were forced into flying as crew chiefs. He said no, but many of us would volunteer for the dangerous duty, even though we could stay on a base camp and just work on the helicopters in a relatively safe area. One gets hazardous duty and flight pay as crew chief. We all looked at each other and discussed this situation. Well, extra pay would be nice, but dead guys can't spend their extra money, so I think all of us agreed to forget the crew chief part. The instructor was a combat crew chief in Vietnam and had his wings on his uniform that impressed us. He said that is what he planned, that he would just be in the base camp as a mechanic. But he volunteered to get into combat once he saw how other guys were doing the real fighting. If they were doing it, I was going to do it, he said. Besides, flying combat was extremely exciting, and Huey machine gunners killed more enemy troops than the infantry did. He felt he was doing his part in the fighting war. He was, we found out, wounded twice and was shot down 7 times. I admired his courage, we all did.
Sandy and I decided to go to the coast together and rent a motel room. I respected her wish not to have sex until marriage. We never had real sex, just fondled and kissed. It was a wonderful relationship. We could go anywhere and be happy together. The coast, surf and beaches were very romantic. We were sort of in love, but bad timing would soon separate us. The army training continued, as did our beautiful weekends together. Suddenly, Christmas approached, and my army company had a 2-week leave. I said goodbye to Sandy and headed home to see my family and friends. 4 of us piled into a car and drove north. We wore our dress uniforms given by the army. In Birmingham, Alabama, we stopped at a cafe. We sat and waited, but the waitresses refused to serve us because we had a black friend with us. I was astounded, but not surprised. Some Southerners were still fighting the Civil War in their own ways. I reached my limit and with my friend, cleared the counter of sugar, salt, pepper shakers, and napkin holders. We told the others and overturned our table and threw our chairs. Our black friend urged us to leave before the police were called. We wanted to do more damage, but we knew it was better to leave. We were all in our army uniforms, happy about our Christmas break. And then this happened. These southern clowns were our enemies. We wanted to go back with ammo and rifles and burn that cafe to the ground. Our black friend was cooler, as he was used to this kind of behavior,